Hello, welcome to the Botanical Night. This is a mangrove night. Mangroves are all around me and I will speak about them. So this is a very interesting place. The northernmost mangrove forest, northernmost mangrove community, which consists of just two, but still different species of mangroves. So what are mangroves? To speak about them, we need to give some kind of, simple definition. My definition is that mangroves may be understood in two ways. Some mangroves are kind of strict mangroves, or you can say true mangroves, but strict I think is better. These are plants which are adapted to the mangroves conditions. What are mangroves conditions? So these are very specific ecological conditions. Mangroves only grow on a muddy soil. They do not typically grow on sand or rock. They grow on a tidal zone when water always go to and fro. And they also grow in a water, they take water which has variable salinity. So, if there are very specific adaptations to all these factors, plus these species are not typically growing anywhere else, this is a strict mangrove. So this, for example, is a strict mangrove plant, Bruguiera. And nearby me is a strict mangrove plant, Candelia. This is an ecosystem of two strict mangrove species. Actually, in a broad sense, mangroves are everything which grows together with these plants. But these other plants might not have a specific adaptation. What I mean by specific adaptations? First of all, the water which goes up and down and muddy soil both provide kind of anoxic environment. Without oxygen, oxygen will be needed for roots and stems which are underwater. So there should be multiple ventilation efforts, ventilation system. Likely it will be some roots, kind of stilt roots, or even upward growing aerial roots, or knee roots, and maybe lenticels, the opening in the bark, something to ventilate the plant. Plus, muddy soil and constant water flow will actually make the position of the plant very dangerous. So plants try to try to make the position of the body as much secured as possible. Same, stilt roots or interesting other adaptation might help plant to stay better on that soil. There may be flat roots, there may be specific branches, there may be rhizomes, and fertilization, pollination, and all the sexual life of plants will also require some specific adaptation. Most importantly is germination of new plants, because in a place where soil is so muddy and water is constantly going up and down, germination is problematic. So some plants develop it kind of floating fruits which withstand the bad water, but some plants, like we call them mangrove from family Rhizophoraceae, red mangrove and relative, for example this Bruguiera, they have very interesting adaptation. Right now this plant is flowering, but flowers finally will be converted into fruits, and fruit of mangroves of these guys is extremely funny. So young embryo will germinate inside the fruit and then will go right in the soil and start development without pause, like immediately. So to make the position as secured as possible for the shortest possible time. This is called vivipary. So vivipary is kind of giving birth of new plants, and it's very specific to Rhizophoraceae, to red mangrove family. So all in all, there are many strict mangroves. So Rhizophoraceae is the most important family, but there may be some other plant from other families which also developed some specific adaptation. For example, there's a mangrove fern, mangrove palm, white mangrove laguncularia, the black mangrove avicennia, and many other plants which are not from Rhizophoraceae family, still true or strict mangroves. And this is the island Amami. Amami is a beautiful example, kind of natural experiment, which was, nature took it to see for us maybe, air for itself, to see how mangroves will survive on a very unlikely climate, because this is not tropics at all. So I'm t-shirt, but night is quite cold. It's about like plus 14 centigrades right now. So on Amami temperature is, well, today is December 17th, so it's still okay, but this is subtropics, not tropics. So Ryukyu Islands, they make kind of very interesting bridge. Bridge will connect tropical regions of Earth with the core Japan Islands. And we can see how mangroves are distributed along Ryukyu Islands and see how hardy are they. So actually, by the way, this was, well, I think mostly ignored in many books, that mangroves can grow in subtropical regions, and some of them are extremely hardy. So how hardy are they? It's easy to see. So southernmost of Ryukyu Islands, a group of islands, for example, Iriamote, has this mangrove fern, mangrove palm, Sonoratsia, very tropical mangroves, which also grows on Philippines and Borneo and so far. But this is the northernmost point of their distribution. Next stop is Okinawa. On Okinawa, 3 species of mangroves persist, and they actually thrive. So all 3 species from Rhizophoraceae family. Red mangrove, this Bruguiera, and also smaller Candelia, sword plant, or like in Japanese, they say female mangrove. So all 3 of them grow very well. Next stop is Amami, here. And here are only 2 species. So Rhizophora, red mangroves, went away. It is not hardy enough. But Candelia and Bruguiera are here. Next to Amami is Yakushima and southern of main Japanese islands Kyushu. So on both of these islands there are mangroves, but only 1 species, Candelia. So Candelia is a champion, is the most hardy mangrove ever. It grows even in a almost non-subtropical region, or very northern subtropics, you can say that. So, and if you go back again here to Amami, you can see that to Candelia there is now a neighbor. This is a Bruguiera. It's very easy to see from aerial photographs, because Bruguiera is lighter green, Candelia is darker green. And today I had a water excursion here on mangroves. So from water it's also very easy to see. Candelia might be large, like this one. The size of Candelia is variable. Sometimes it grows like a dwarf plant, especially closer to water. However, Bruguiera typically is large. It is not so flexible. By the way, maybe it's a reason why Bruguiera doesn't really grow to the north of Amami. And also, Bruguiera has very interesting knee roots. And these roots are very visible from the water levels. You can easily distinguish these 2 species. Plus, as you see, Bruguiera today, on December 17, is flowering and has wonderful red flower. They just open, so pollination and everything else will be later. So this is a Bruguiera, the second hardest mangrove on Earth. And this is wonderful that Japan has so many subtropical mangroves. And now you can say, well, we can plant mangroves in some areas when you don't typically have them. My idea, for example, why not to see if Candelia and Bruguiera, and maybe also black mangrove Avicennia, which grows not only in Florida, but also in Texas, for example, in Corpus Christi. So one of these 3 species cannot be planted as an artificial, but extremely useful mangroves in South Carolina, or maybe even in North Carolina. I think this is possible. Thank you.